Hi everyone, it's Jen, and today I'm going to be doing a book review of Gold Fame Citrus by Claire V. Watkins. So this book was a very interesting read. I picked it up mostly because of the description. It is a contemporary adult novel that takes place in a sort of post-apocalyptic futuristic version of the United States. So in this novel, what's happened is over the course of 50 years, the Mojave Desert has turned into this massive sand dune, and it's just sort of this huge drought in California to the point where no one wants to live there anymore, and most people have evacuated, except for these sort of nomadic wanderers who were called the Mojaves. So the main characters in this book, Luz and Ray, are living in California, and almost everyone is left. There's no water. They get some rations, and they get like water like once a day, but just enough to sort of fill a milk jug. So it's just to drink. You can't really bathe or anything like that. So it was a very interesting premise, and I was really excited about it. It starts off with Luz and Ray living in an abandoned Starlet's mansion in Los Angeles, which I was like, yes, I love it, amazing. And there were a lot of things about this book that I really enjoyed. I loved how the author built the world. I love that this natural disaster doesn't seem too far-fetched to me. When you think about droughts in California, you're like, yeah, that does happen. Like, that is a thing. Everywhere else in the United States, although we didn't really get to see it, seemed fine. People were trying to evacuate to there, although at this point, no place really wanted any more of these refugees, which sounds familiar. Also, there was this really great part in the novel where two characters are sort of watching TV and talking about like what's on television. There's all these sort of insane reality shows, and that was just a great section. I really loved all the attention to detail. There's another part in the book where one character shows to another this catalog of all the creatures that are now living in the dune area and how they've adapted to sort of live in this. So it's sort of written like a naturalist's catalog with all these great pictures and stuff. So I really enjoyed things like that in the world building. The characters, on the other hand, I found a little complicated and at times a little hard to connect with or to agree with what they were doing. So Luz, I wasn't the biggest fan of her character. It seems like Luz isn't really going to do anything unless someone else tells her what to do or like guides her in the right direction. So at the beginning she has Ray, and Ray is sort of her everything, and everything she does, like, she does because Ray wants her to do it, like, but it's not like Ray wants her to, do projects and do things and like keep herself occupied. The only thing that Luz ever seems to really do for herself is read biographies about the environment. So she's reading books about like John Muir and things like that. Right near the beginning of the novel, Ray and Luz actually end up finding this 2-year-old, this like little toddler named Ig, and sort of take her in because the people who were looking after her just seemed to be this sort of street gang, and they didn't feel right about it. So they decided to sort of take Ig in. And again, Luz doesn't really ever do anything for herself. She only starts to do things for Ig because she feels like she needs to, which I guess it makes sense. Like when you're a parent, your life changes, and Luz and Ray have become parents to this little girl, and so they decide they want to give her a better life, and they decide it's time for them to leave California. And that is what sort of brings them out into the dunes. And then a whole bunch of stuff happens, and it just sort of made me not really like Luz or Ray as characters. Just some of the choices they made really irked me and angered me, and there was this whole part where we were stuck in the dunes, and I just felt like not a lot was happening plot-wise. There was just a lot of character development, but I didn't really care for the characters very much to begin with, so it wasn't as interesting to me as it could have been. I ended up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars because there were parts of it that I really, really enjoyed. But then some of the characterizations I just was annoyed with. The book was very well written, and the characters were well-rounded. I just didn't really like them as people. Another dystopian book that I'm actually reading right now is Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood, and I find that I'm liking that one a whole lot more than I liked Gold Fame Citrus. It had some of the same things where it talks about like the adaptation of animals and just sort of like the crazy shows that are on television now, and that was just one element of what I liked in both those stories. I felt that everything else is also stronger in Oryx and Crake, so I'm excited to finish that and see where it heads. And that is also the beginning of a trilogy, Margaret Atwood's Mad Adam trilogy. I also felt that this book compared unfavorably to Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, which I read last year and was one of my favorite books that I read last year. And it is also about a dystopian future, but set 20 years after an enormous plague. In that, I felt the world building was done very well, and also the plot and characters I could relate a little bit more to, which is probably why I liked it more. Definitely an interesting book if you like dystopian post-apocalyptic literature and you're looking for something with great world building, although if unsympathetic characters aren't your thing, I wouldn't recommend checking this book out. So if you want to know more of what I'm reading and my thoughts, be sure to be my friend on Goodreads and subscribe to my channel. Alright, talk to you later. Bye!